Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel if you're new here. So for today's video, we're gonna be talking about some good, okay? So for today's video, we're gonna be talking about high-end palettes that you should spend your money on, okay? Now, not necessarily like you should drop everything you're doing and go spend money on this palette. Don't buy groceries for a week and spend money on this palette. No, these are just if you're up for spending a little bit of extra money, you might have a little bit of extra cash, you want a nice palette that you can use every single day, then I don't think you can go wrong with these, okay? These are palettes that, for me, I use very consistently. I feel like I can never go wrong with them, and I never have a bad eyeshadow day when I use these palettes. So let's just go ahead and jump into the video. Okay, so the first palette I'm gonna talk about is a very, very basic, like your basicest of the basic. I think basicest is a fake word. I'm 100% sure I just made that up. But this is like for those people who just want something super basic, super neutral, and that is the Urban Decay Naked Basics palette. This is just super, can you see my vitamins? Those are my vitamins. I don't even know why those are there. Literally the most basic palette ever. It comes with one highlight shade, a shimmer shade. Actually, before I found Nylon, this was my favorite highlight shade ever. I'm actually almost out of the shade. So it has a highlight shade. It has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 shadows. It has one shimmer, and then the rest are mattes. You can create a very everyday, basic, super simple eyeshadow with this palette. At the same time, you can also do a really super smoky look with this palette as well, because it has a black and then it has this more neutral transition shade. So this retails for $29. I did look up at Sephora and Ulta, and it's on sale right now for $19. I don't know if it's on sale or if it's on clearance or if it's being discontinued, but I would say go ahead and pick this up, especially while they have it for $10 off. If this is being discontinued, that's news to me, and I need to get another one because I really like this palette. This is just a real nice everyday palette. It's for those guys or girls who just want to go in with like something neutral on the lid and then maybe like 1 or 2 transition shades, highlight the brow bone, and call it a day. This is the palette for you. I've gotten a lot of use out of this palette, surprisingly, and anytime I'm going for a really matte look or I'm doing like a very basic eyeshadow look, I typically will go in with this palette because it has the cream shade. Actually really, I just got to chill. These are also, Urban Decay shadows are so smooth that they literally just look beautiful on the eye. So WOS, it's a really nice creamy shade, nice to set your eyeshadow primer with, and then also just go in and kind of define the lid. If you just want a nice creamy shade, it comes with this really pretty yellow shade, and then 2 browns, and then a black, and then of course the shimmer. So I really don't think you can go wrong with this. So small, you can throw it in your purse if you want, you can throw it in your travel bag, and you are good to go. And then let's just keep it in the Urban Decay family. The next one I want to talk about is the Naked 3 palette, and this retails for $54. And I know everybody knows Urban Decay, everybody knows the Naked palettes. They are really, I believe, what started the whole trend of palettes. Actually, my first high-end palette that I ever bought myself was I think it was the Naked 2 palette. It was either that or another palette I'm going to mention later on in the video. The reason I wanted to go with the Naked 3 specifically is Naked 1 is very pretty. It has a lot of gold. It has a lot of very smoky shades. Like for me, that's just not what I gravitate towards. And then like the smokier shades, it just doesn't have a good mix of like transitions that I prefer to go in with. Like I like a lot of options when it comes to matte transitions, and then the Naked 2 is a little more on the cool tone side. I will say I like Naked 2 more than I like Naked 1, but the Naked 2 is a little more on the cool tone side. So if you're gonna go in and buy like this one palette, I wouldn't recommend those two. The reason I'm recommending Naked 3 is because I feel like these are just so much more wearable. They're very rosy, but this is a really pretty highlight shade. This first one right here, these 4 right here, I love to go in with on the lid. This one in particular is one of my favorites. But I remember when I first got the Naked 3 palette, I used the ever-loving hell out of it. On a lot of these shades, I've actually already hit pan. When I was working at the salon, I actually used to always wear this palette because it's just so pretty. Like, I'm not a pinky girl, which is so weird, but I think because they're kind of more rosy, it's just a very pretty, like rosy rose gold pink palette, and I think that's why I like it so much. It's very wearable, but I remember I always used to do Limit, this one right here, Limit, and then Nooner in the crease, and then I would do Factory on the lower lash line, and I would either do Trick, Buzz, Burnout, or Dust on the lid, and then I would always go in with my Naked Basics and then do Venus for my inner corner and brow bone highlights. Of all the Naked palettes, I have every single one except for the smoky one. This was the one that I've definitely gotten the most use out of. It's one of my favorites, and I think especially for like an everyday look, it's very soft, it's very pretty. So if you're not doing super dramatic makeup and you just want something for everyday use, I think you'll really get a lot of use out of this one. And my next one should be no surprise because I've raved about this since I got this palette. This is the Naked Heat palette, and this is my new favorite Naked palette because it is just like a warm tone dream, in my opinion. I think this is absolutely stunning. I almost wasn't gonna get it, and then when I saw it in person, that's like the story of my life. I'm not gonna buy it, and then I see it in person, and I'm like, I have to have it. What am I doing with my life? But this palette is so pretty. It's so good. I think I like this because it has more of a variety of mattes, because for me, a lot of the Naked palettes I think don't have enough matte shades. I want a lot of mattes because I like to do a really blown out eye, and then realistically you only need a highlight shade, and then if you like shimmers, you're gonna go in with shimmer on the lid because you typically don't use shimmers in the crease. It is super warm, it's super rich, like my tones 100%, but at the same time it has so many mattes you can go in with. So I actually, one of my favorite looks to do is Sauced, Low Blow, and Cayenne, and In Fuego. I do all of those in the crease. I like to do Ashes on the outer V, and then I like to go in with Scorched or Dirty Talk on the lid, and then the lightest one, Ounce, for the brow bone or inner corner highlight. This is just so pretty. The packaging, they've really stepped it up. I like how it's just kind of nice and sleek. It has like a little bit more of a sturdy packaging. I do like the tin, but I just like this packaging a little bit more. Of course, packaging doesn't really mean anything because what matters is what's inside of the packaging. But I think that if you love warm tones, if you're really into those really rich red blown out smoky eyes, I really think that you will get a lot of use out of this palette, as I have gotten so much use out of this palette. I love to take this with me when I do clients because I love the way that the tones look. Urban Decay shadows are incredible. They blend out like a dream. They're smooth, and I don't think you can go wrong with it if those are your tones. Okay, so the next one I want to mention is the Kat Von D Shade Light Eye palette, and this one I believe retails for $45. Sorry, this retails for $48. So a little cheaper than the Naked palettes, but still, you know, up there near the $50 mark. But this is just a completely all matte palette. This one right here has a tiny bit of a sheen, and then this one has a little bit of a sheen. They're more of like satin shades. There's no like really intense shimmers in this palette. But I mean, can you go wrong with this palette? Let's be real. You can see I'm almost out of this shade, and this one I've almost hit pan on. But I really do like this palette. I love that they have this huge pan for a matte shade because I love to use a shade like this. This is actually the one that I use to set my primer before I go in and blend. They have a nice mixture of warm tone mattes and cool tone mattes. They have a nice pretty red shade. I love to go in with a color like this in the crease. They have a really pretty brow bone shade, this one, and this is very nice for brow bone highlight and inner corner highlight. And I think it's a good mixture of colors. You can do a warm tone eye if you're into warm tones. You can do a cool tone eye if you're into cool tones. Very good everyday palette. So this is another one. The shadows are impeccable. They are just so good. They blend beautifully. If you are more into cool tones, I think you'll like this because it has a lighter gray, this deeper gray, and then a black. Here's a more cool tone brown down here. So yeah, I think you guys will like this palette as well. I love that palette. I think it is so underrated, and I don't hear enough people talk about it. I think more people should talk about it because it's really good. And then the next one I'm gonna mention, this is the one that I cannot remember if this one was my first high-end palette or if the Naked 2 one was, but either way, I bought them both around the same time. But this one is so abused. This is probably one of my most beat up palettes, and this is the first Lorac Pro Palette. This is just a freaking dream. This palette is a gold mine, okay? So you can see it is very, very loved. I've hit pan on pretty much all of my neutral staple colors. These are actually broken. I did a whole rant about this on Snapchat when this first happened, but I used this palette on Valentine's Day and I think I filmed a video with it. That's what I did. We have wood floors in the house and it just slipped out of my hand. Only the palette, nothing else. I didn't even look down. I just remember like looking away and I was like, it's gonna be broken. I can feel it because these I had already very much hit pan on. It was just kind of like the corners, like how this one is, and it just broke everywhere. I was so upset, but yeah, this has a special place in my heart because this is again one of my first palettes that I ever had. I've had this palette for like seriously 6 years now. It's probably not even good anymore, but I still use it. I'm not giving it up until I run out of it. I don't even care. This was another one where I could do like an everyday look. I would do taupe in the crease and sable in the crease, and then I would go in with gold, or I want to say I used to go in with one of these shimmers. I think it was the nude one. It's not here anymore, so I don't remember what it looks like, but I would go in with this on the lid, and you can just do like an everyday beautiful look. I used to love to do light pink and mauve in the crease and then cream on the lid if I wanted to go for like a more mauvey purple, but this is just like beautiful. First of all, these shadows are so smooth. The mattes blend out like, oh my god, like nothing I've ever seen. I really think this palette has some of the best matte formulas besides the Anastasia palettes. I know a lot of people are kind of weird about her mattes because they're super soft, but I happen to like a formula like that. These are very similar where the formula is just so soft. It just like, it's like butter. That's exactly the best way that I can describe it. It has a really nice array of colors. You have a light brown, you have a deeper chocolatey brown, then you have this espresso shade, you have a black, you have some deep shimmers, you have this really pretty red color. This one is really pretty garnet, and then gold. This is like a really pretty gold, kind of like a coppery gold color. These two, what used to be here, were absolutely stunning for brow bone highlight and inner corner highlight. And then the champagne right here, this is really pretty. So I don't think you can go wrong with this. You can do a lot of different looks because it does have a couple of pops of color, but my favorite thing about this was the mattes because I thought the mattes were just absolutely incredible. This palette retails for $44 and now it looks like it comes with an eyeshadow primer. So that's a plus. I would say it's pretty affordable considering it comes with a primer as well, and I really think you'll get a lot of use out of that primer because I certainly did, as you can see. But yeah, I've never tried any of the other Lorac palettes. They just weren't speaking to me the way that that one does. And I think you can create a lot of very wearable looks because it has a lot of those beautiful warm tones and I really enjoy it. So the next palette I want to talk about is the Modern Renaissance palette. This is from Anastasia Beverly Hills. I remember when this palette came out, everybody went batshit crazy, and with good reason because it's absolutely stunning. So this is one of my favorite palettes from her, up there with one of my, probably like in my top 5 favorite palettes of all time. It is so pretty. Looking at it, I know it can be a little intimidating because it has this pink, it has this orange, it has this red shade. Like, I know red can be super intimidating. Her shadows are super pigmented. They're absolutely beautiful. Her mattes, along with the Lorac, are one of my favorite matte formulas of all time. Her shimmers are so smooth. This combination, like, that they came out with right here, I think is just gold. Again, if you're into like those really rich tones, you like a really warm eye, I think this is gonna be the palette for you. The only cool tone one in here is I think Warm Taupe. To me, and Bone Fresco, I think these are a little more on the cool tone side, but you can do so many different looks with this palette. It's very wearable. I love to do burnt orange, Bone Fresco, Antique Bronze in the crease, and then I'll do Cypress Umber on the outer V and Vermeer on the lid. I know the orange and the pink are kind of scary, but if you go in with a light hand, you can make it really intense, or you can make it very natural, and I think this is a really good everyday palette because it has a nice mixture of these warm transitions, and then if you want to bump it up just a notch, you could go in with Cypress Umber here, and this is one of my favorite palettes from her. I believe these retail for $42. The next one I want to mention is a newer one to me, but this is like my new love at the moment. This is the Anastasia Soft Glam palette. This should be no surprise because this is another one I cannot freaking stop using it. This one has a little bit more of, I think, those warm transitions that you can really work with versus the Modern Renaissance. So it has These two right here, these are two of my favorite transitions. And then you can bump it up with sienna, you can do rustic, cypress umber, mulberry. Like you can just do so many things with this palette. This one comes with a black sultry. It's just such a pretty rosy pink color. This is gorgeous. And then bronze is also gorgeous. So I love these two. I think the name is just so appropriate because you can do such a soft glam look. Or if you want something a little more dramatic, you can put a little more of one of these two on the outer V just to smoke it out a little bit more. You can intensify it. I think for me, it just has so many good transitions that you can use, that you can do like a lighter natural look. And then if you want to go in and do a little bit of a darker, more sultry look, you have the options of those extra darker, deeper transition colors to go in with. Every single time I've done somebody else's makeup, since I got that palette, I think I've been using that one. I literally cannot stop using it. Today I was like, I cannot use that palette. I need to use something different today instead of that one. And then the last palette I want to mention is not a high-end brand, but it does have a more high-end price point, and that is the Jaclyn Hill and Morphe palette. This retails for $38, but look at everything you get in this palette. You get so many different shadows. It is definitely beyond well worth your money. I bought this palette as soon as it came out. I set an alarm on my phone and bought it immediately, and I remember the website was like so freaking slow because I'm sure everybody was trying to buy it. It sold out in minutes. Like I think it sold out in like 45 minutes or something like that, and I have to say this palette did not disappoint. And this is another one. It was kind of like the soft glam and the naked heat, where when I first got this palette, I literally could not stop using it. But you can just create so many beautiful looks. These right here, where they're kind of all the same almost, but also different at the same time. Like you can just really go in and do like a really nice built up, blown out smoky eye if you want. You can do pink if you guys like pink. You know already I'm not a pink fan. I think I might have only just used this one, but you can use these if you want to go in and do something pink. If you want to do something super natural, you have these shades right here. You've got these pops of color down here. The purple's really, really pretty. You have some greens. Greens are one of my favorite colors of all time to work with. If I'm ever doing like a really colorful eye, I will do green because I just love the way it looks on myself, at least. This one is really pretty. This is actually one of my favorites in the palette because it's like a taupey color, and I'm all about the taupes. You've got all these beautiful, rich, warm browns. This really pretty reddish color. You've got this really pretty coppery color. For somebody they want a palette for everyday wear. They want to wear it to work. They want something to do like super dramatic makeup. I always take this with me when I do clients because it's just truly one of my favorites, and I really love it. I can do a really bronzy eye. I can do a gold eye. I can do a red blown out smoky eye, which is one of my favorites. I can do purple, blue, green. Like it just is perfection to me, and I don't think you guys will be disappointed if you haven't checked out this palette. I would say if you're gonna go ahead and pick up any one palette, I have to recommend the Jaclyn Hill one 100% because it has the most shadows. You can create the most looks with it, and it's cheaper than the other ones. So yeah, that's actually it for this video, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Just subscribe before you go if you want to, you know, no big deal. Give this video a thumbs up, and go ahead and let me know what other videos you guys would like me to film, and I will put them on my list of things to do. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. You know I always appreciate when you guys take the time to watch my videos, and I love you guys for it. I think that's all I have to say, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye. What the ever-loving fuck is happening right now? Like, how much are these palettes? I don't even fucking know. Do I really spend this much money on makeup? Is this my life? Is this where I've been my entire life? I've just been spending money on makeup? I need to get it together. Do you guys like my shirt? That was like the story of my life before I got married.